Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Champion the Gamer. I am joined today by Bit Barber, and I got to say, some of your stuff is fabulous. There's no pressure, but you have set a bit of a standard.
No pressure at all, then. None at all.
None at all. This was, again, I keep saying it, but everyone's so different on the app, on TikTok especially, and everyone brings something completely different. So when we get into your creator origins, what makes you different, 8-Bit?
I don't know. My accent, maybe. That seems to be that seems to do a lot of the heavy lifting, especially as the Americans have been finding me, and the Canadians. They seem to get excited about that. The fact I have terrible memory, so I can just replay a game a lot and still get stuck at the same bits, and then chat yells at me like, "You did this 2 months ago," and I'm like, "I know." It's part of the fun of being like a real life Dory.
Oh, I love it. All right, so your creator origins. Tell us a bit about how you got started on TikTok, where you came from as a gamer prior to that, and what led to you being where you are now as an elite streamer.
It was elite streamer. My heart gonna have me blushing on here. Right, so it was a bit of a weird, long, drawn out process, right? During the first lockdown, I had not long built a PC, and what I was doing, I'd be like playing games with my brother or playing games myself, and I gained the ability with NVIDIA to take little clips of funny moments because I would always be wearing a headset that had a mic built into it, and I think out loud when I play video games. I've always had a habit of doing that. So sometimes something funny would happen. I would take a clip of it, and I uploaded a few to Facebook. It was on my old Facebook account, right? And basically, I had a few friends going, "Dude, you should start make a YouTube account or make a Twitch account and start streaming." And I remember I tried like one or two streams. I think one friend turned up, and we sat for a little while, but obviously the world went back to normal and I went back to work and it got put on the back burner. I had been collecting retro video games and stuff like that, but I didn't know how could I possibly stream that? I don't have that on my PC. That was essentially it. Fast forward maybe a year, 2021, I moved abroad. I moved to Cyprus, and while I was over there, sometimes you get a little bit homesick. And what happened was I was scrolling on TikTok, and I heard a Scottish accent, and it was Retro Sega 81. That was the guy, and I watched it. He was playing Bomberman on the Mega Drive, and it felt a little bit like home. So I just kept watching, and then because I started watching him, when I came back from Cyprus, I started getting more and more people popping up. Super Nerd Simon was one of the big ones, and he was one of the ones that when I was watching him and Retro Sega, it kind of reminded me of that experience where you're sitting at a friend's house, you're sitting on the couch and you're playing video games together. You know, you would sit, your friend would be trying to beat a level, and you just chat and shit with each other. And I loved it, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to be a part of that because I felt like that's something that's missing in today's gaming experience for a lot of people.
I think you mentioned Retro Sega, and I'm so glad you did because the dude is phenomenal.
Yes.
I could have his videos on different layers of entertainment because one, I can have it on a black screen and just have his music choices. He's an 80s, late 80s, early 80s rock guy, which suits me. But other than that, he's just an entertaining dude. Like he's so underrated. He's got obviously a massive following as it is right now, but he's so entertaining and so just casual with it.
He really is.
He's so underrated in a weird way because he's sort of like everyone knows who he is, but you don't really hear his name that much. It's kind of a weird balance.
No. It was the same with Claymore Nation. Claymore Nation was another guy, and I remember I had started on Twitch, and I'd started on Twitch because obviously I didn't have the follow. when I wanted to do my first stream, it was Retro Sega that I messaged. I was like, I'm going to try and stream. And then TikTok had introduced its cap, because prior to that, when I don't know if it was because I lived in Cyprus, but I had access to TikTok Live with the amount of followers I had. And I thought I still had it, and I came back to Scotland. I was like, dude, I'm going to try and do a TikTok Live, and then I opened up TikTok, and I was like, it's not fucking there anymore. So I started a Twitch, and I did it for quite a while. And honestly, a lot of the time, I didn't have any viewers. I would either be sitting playing a game with my friend Lou. It would be playing like survival games or just online kind of multiplayer games and stuff. And sometimes I would do like retro games as well. But I didn't really get any viewers. Occasionally, a few people would stop by. And then, I don't know if you've seen in the live, my friend Stephen, his username's Secretary Stevie. He started turning up. He found out I was doing it. He started turning up. So it was just like hanging out with a friend. And then gradually, more people started to spill over from various different places. And I made a really dumb Skyrim meme on TikTok that went viral. And I got enough followers to go live on there. And that was... I think I've enjoyed TikTok more than I've enjoyed Twitch. I think it's been a better space.
I've always said that about, because I didn't have TikTok for a very long time, and it was like, yes, that's the kids app, that's the young hip happening app.
Yes,
I'm not part of it. But like since I've been on TikTok, I've obviously had the lockdown tweet. I didn't stream, but I watched a fair number of streamers. And actually, what's been nice is I've stayed in contact with 4 or 5 of them, even now. I just watch streams. But on TikTok, it feels so much more community based,
yes,
and sustainable in a weird way. Because I think whether you're a watcher or you're an actual like content creator, you feel more connected to people on the app, I think, and it keeps you there for longer. Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, right now you've got your Discord, you've got your streaming thing, you've got this massive community yourself. And that's a testament to that. I think you deserve massive credit for that. But I think it speaks to your point that you can create that community on there rather than Twitch feeling very businessy, if that's a fair term.
Yes,
the word, but I'm going to go with it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right there. It's something that like we've noticed. Obviously, I've got with the Discord. I keep my Discord private. I don't put it out. It's regulars in the community that if we think that they're going to be okay, we'll send them the link. They can join and they can hang out and stuff. I put resources up. I've put up a chat. I called it wellness because I didn't want the people to feel stigmatized. But if people are struggling a little bit, then they can message in there and they've got people to talk to. You know, I've got a separate kind of moderators chat where if we notice that someone's been vacant or maybe if they seem a bit down, usually there's a message like, have any of you guys heard from such and such for a while? Maybe reach out and see if he's okay or she's okay. And the community aspect of it on TikTok has been absolutely fantastic. And it's helped me a lot, and it's definitely helped a lot of other people find a place where you've got people of a similar demographic, similar age range, very similar interests, and as a result, and we share things among each other that maybe we didn't know, we hadn't been exposed to, different music, different films, different video games, and it's been brilliant. I would go as far to say that TikTok has been life-changing for me.
I wouldn't disagree with that, to be honest. I said I'm going to get this wrong, might be Yorkshire Gamer. I said that like, obviously everyone has struggles. I'd be lying if I said I had struggles that were as deep as some have had, and some do have. But at the same time, TikTok has been that sort of bright light social media outlet. I didn't think it was going to be. I thought it was going to be this again. I'm sort of mockingly saying it, like this, you know, but it's a kids app in my head.
Yeah.
But since then, it hasn't been that at all. I think that's sort of a stigma that needs to change. But that's great. We can get on to more about you later because I want to get into the hot stuff, the fiery stuff.
Let's do it.
Hot takes and solid debates. I know for a fact you're the type of fellow that's going to have some. If you don't, this is a bit awkward. But have you got any hot takes for us that you can throw out and I can come back at you two?
I've got a few. I've got one that I think might upset.
Can I just point out, for those who can't see this, you had a look in your face and it was like, I don't know if I want to kill him yet. How strong do I go with the first one?
Doomslayer would bend Master Chief over his knee and scalp his
Oh, we've
little
been
bum
through this,
bump.
pal. We've been, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
not right. I'm sorry. I'll leave that one. I'll leave that one. Okay. I'll leave. I had to do it. I knew it was one of the first. The second I heard hot takes, I knew. But so I feel like I don't like gatekeeping. Okay. I feel like it has its place sometimes when it comes to certain video games, and I will say this for it's not so much that things should be gatekept. It's that I feel like a lot of game studios tend to pander to try to get a wider audience, and that's obviously it's a business, you know. But you're not a big Elder Scrolls man, are you?
Nope.
No. If you go back to the older Elder Scrolls games, they were solid RPGs, absolutely solid RPGs. The customization of the characters, the different factions, like you had to, when you crafted a character in that game, you had to play as that. Like you absolutely had to play as like a mage or a knight, a barbarian, whatever it was, a stealth character. If that was the character that you made, you couldn't just fucking muscle your way through and decide that, well, no, all of a sudden my tiny elf stealth archer is gonna be running around with a two-handed battle axe, just mauling people. You couldn't do that. Certain choices that you made in your character creation would exclude you from doing certain parts of the game. You wanted to do that, you made another character. Things like quests as well. If you go to, so that's more Daggerfall, like the second one, that was the late 90s. Some of the like the different skill sets, the number of different skill sets that you could pick, that you could decide to improve on, were numerous. It was a lot, you know, and it was. But the thing is that obviously that puts some people off, so they dumbed it down a little bit, and then they made Morrowind, and Morrowind was a little bit more. It was easier to jump into it, but still maintained that kind of aspect that, you know, if you're gonna build a certain type of character in this game, then that's what you're going to play as. It will be difficult for you to transition into a different play style. They didn't have like quest markers and stuff like that in the video game, so when you were reading the journal, there was limited fast travel as well, like limited fast travel options. When you're reading the journal that was telling you where you had to go, you had to really, really pay attention to it. It was giving you directions: turn east at the bridge that's just north of this place. And then we got Oblivion, and then it's like, yeah, put a little arrow above where you need to go, and you can just click on it on the map, or click something that's adjacent to it that is one of the cities, and you can just walk there within a few minutes. You don't like playing with two-handed weapons? It's okay. Just pick up another weapon and you can use that instead. And then it got worse with Skyrim. Your classifications. I made the joke a while ago that you had spear, staff, like projectiles, short sword, long sword, blunt, and Morrowind. Then it went to blunt, axe, and blade and Oblivion, and then it went to one-handed and two-handed and Skyrim. And I made the joke a while ago that I think the way that they kind of dumb it down each time to appeal to a wider audience, you're not going to have different schools of magic or different types of weaponry in the video game. You're going to have bonk or abracadabra. Those will be your two skill trees in Elder Scrolls 6. I feel like that's something that should be taken into consideration when it comes to developing these games.
I tell you what, I don't actually think that's a bad one, because you look at something like I mean, everyone always says, "Oh, my generation had it the hardest." Like that's just a thing. But
Mm.
you go back to the 80s or even the 70s with no saves. You go back to the 90s with a little bit more of that, but it was like you had to no internet to find your way through. Then you had
Mm-hmm.
walkthroughs in the 2000s. So obviously everything gets, as you put it, dumbed down a little bit.
Yeah.
Some games do need to maintain that level of, and I'm not saying get good. I hate that phrase, but some
Yeah.
games do need that extra sort of dimension of almost difficulty
Mm-hmm.
because it's sort of you need your unique ability to stay unique. Does that
Yes.
make sense? Because
Yes.
a lot of games become the same. Before you know it, all your Assassin's Creeds are exactly the same game as they were before. You need
Yes.
something unique about them, and I sort of get where you're coming from.
It's one of those that gradually, as you say, they all become a mess of very similar titles, and there's nothing compelling you to go out and try this other one. I think what they could do is leave in an option to opt out of certain aspects of the game, you know, as opposed to just turning up because they'll give you a difficulty slider. You can increase the difficulty, decrease the difficulty on certain games. Absolutely include that. But what you can do is you could opt out of things like quest markers. Just make the journal entries interesting enough that I need to go and find that. I need to actually explore and experience this world. That's why Morrowind felt so immersive. Because in order to play the game, you had to read everything that everyone told you. You had to really read the lore, and you had to explore the areas. And while you were doing that, you were discovering different things, just random experiences that then, there'd be another quest related to that. I'll come back to that later. And then it was just an enjoyable experience. It's why, although I'd say in Elder Scrolls it's one of the clunkiest. If you ever watch any of the combat footage, it's hilariously bad, but it's one of my favorites.
I mean, Boxiati made the point, like you play like an LA Noir, and
Mm-hmm.
there's so many throwawayable, that's not a phrase, stuff you can just throw away if you don't need it.
Yeah.
You find it. If I find something and it's something I can grab and I'm told to grab it, it
Mm.
needs to have weight and meaning. And so like
Yes.
anything I pick up and read should add to the story, or
Yes.
at least have the chance to add to the story. Like, look, I mean, like, I mentioned The Witcher 3 all the time, but you pick up a thing on a side quest, like a contract or whatever, and it's got a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of backstory about that side quest. You can
Yeah.
choose to read that or not, but if you read it, it actually has weight to what the story is.
Yeah.
Another good example, I think, or maybe not a good example, but an example of you say about the sliders of difficulty. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
it is immersion based, like you say, because like Mafia, on the new Mafias, you can choose to have whether you drive at speed limit or not enforced.
Right. Right. That's interesting. I like that.
Like you've got one of my favorites, Command and Conquer. They did the remasters,
Mm-hmm.
and this is only a minor one, but it's a similar kind of concept. They had the thing on the remasters for the red alert ones where you could literally just press, I think what button it is. You can press a button on your keyboard, and it goes
Mm-hmm.
back from new regenerated graphics to old graphics, and stuff like that
Yes.
is huge. I think.
They did that with the Monkey Island remaster, and they did it with the Day of the Tentacle remaster. I don't know if you're a big point and click guy, but that was the first time that I've seen that. Uh, and I remember I got the Day of the Tentacle one, and just sometimes switching back and seeing
Yeah.
the old 90s graphics. It's just brilliant. And the thing is that the music will change, so it sounds like super polished, but then you're playing it and it sounds like you're playing this on an old Windows 98 computer. You've booted it through DOS. It's coming through those fucking tinny speakers that were mounted on the side. It sounded amazing. It was just it's a novelty, but I think it's an important novelty to include if you're going to do a remaster. That's another thing. If you're going to do a remaster, at the very least, include the ability to play the original game.
I'll fully back it. I'll fully back it because I'll play Red Alert on both versions,
Mm-hmm.
and there is something magic about playing it because it is your childhood, right? It is
Yeah,
something you're used to. So I agree. I think
I
that's a
found
very very interesting take. That is.
I found that was something that seemed to pull quite a few people in with the Spiral streams, because I don't stream the Reignited trilogy. it's always the originals, and the sounds are different. Obviously, the look of the game is different, and that seems to pull quite a lot of people in. They're like, "Oh my god, the original!" If they just included that, but I think there was something to do. They lost game files or something along those lines, and they couldn't do that.
But there is a whole host of, especially remasters of old arcade classics.
Mm-hmm.
You can fit every arcade game on a floppy disk, like it's a joke.
Yeah.
Just make it happen.
Exactly.
All right, so we'll scooch on to coaches' questions. I pull out 2 or 3 or 4, depending on time, questions from my now infamous TikTok questions, and I'll throw them at the person in front of me. So, first one, nice and easy, nothing major. Snap your fingers and change one thing about gaming industry. What are you changing?
Microtransactions immediately. Go on.
It's the easy one, right?
That's the easiest question. Microtransactions, finito. Either that or no. Actually, that seems like an easy one. Bureaucrats at the top of game development companies constantly putting up red tape, screwing over developers, changing things all the time, going, no, you can't, no, we want this instead, no, do this instead, and then eventually going, oh, you've got a deadline and you need to release this game. So the game gets rushed and released, and we end up with janky garbage. That happens all too often. Look at Cyberpunk 2077. That game was a broken mess. That was not even fit to be an early access game. I played early access games that worked better. I remember watching streams of that when it came out and just pissing myself laughing at how many times there was a guy driving in his car and the character just T-posed and floated out the top of the car. How are you gonna put stuff like that out and charge people AAA title fucking money, and you're gonna act like, yeah, we're a legitimate company? Like, no, absolutely not. And they did it with Spyro Enter the Dragonfly as well. I don't know if you played that one. It was on the PlayStation 2. That game had so much potential to be fantastic. It was a janky mess, and it was because, realistically, people at the top who had no experience developing video games, they kept making changes to the game. No, we want this. No, do this instead. No, do this instead. And the developers would have to go back and make these changes with limited time. They've got a deadline coming up, and then the game sucks. And the developers pay the price for it, because those are the guys that don't get hired for the next project, because they ultimately they're caught carrying the bag of shit at the end of it, and they get into trouble. Apologies for the volume of curse words here.
It's completely fine. And sometimes, I said this to somebody else, sometimes it's warranted. When it's that egregious, and like I say about the developers, that a lot of them suffer, and they shouldn't have to, because sometimes they're the ones that actually do care.
Yeah,
and they're the ones that have got their deadlines pushed forwards for no particular reason. I mean, you said about a T-pose. I laugh because if you've seen my video on Last of Us, I have a moment where Joel literally just T-poses.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah,
I need to look at
it was the PS3 version, which is probably my fault, but
fair.
Number 2, have you ever wanted a game so much you bought a console for it?
Yes. And it was two. It was two separate games. It was the Friday the 13th game.
You don't know that much.
The Day of the Tentacle remaster. And the reason for it was that I got I actually didn't even have to buy it, because when I discovered that it came out, my birthday was coming up. And I went and ranted and raved and showed my brother. I was like, dude, check this out, man. You can play as like one of the survivors, or you can play as Jason. How cool is that? And my brother and my mum got me a PlayStation 4 for my birthday. So I'm kind of cheating with that answer, right? I'm cheating a little bit with that answer.
No, you managed to forage yourself a game and a console out of it. I'll take it.
And that was the interestingly enough, they got me the console. They never got me the game. They got me The Last of Us, hilariously enough, just as you bring that up. But I went out that very day, wandered down to CEX, bought myself a copy of Friday the 13th, and I played it to death. I absolutely loved it. That was my first kind of foray into modern gaming. I was mostly playing just my retro consoles, anything up to 360, but obviously offline. But it was all kind of stuff like that, and that kind of spurred me on. I started seeing newer games, but yeah, it was the PlayStation 4 and it was the Friday the 13th game. I loved that. I absolutely loved that game. It was so much fun.
Love that. All right. So, last one. And again, nothing outrageously big or anything, just what's a gaming hill you're willing to die on?
A gaming hill I'm willing to die on.
Every single guest is like, I can do this. And then they get a question and go, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing here. This is on the spot. This is pressure. This is.
Can you elaborate? Can you elaborate a little bit?
Okay, so a gaming hill you're willing to die on is just something like an opinion you have that it could be against the grain, it could be not against the grain, just an opinion you have that you're willing to go to the end of the earth to defend. Like for me, right? I've mentioned this, I think, in a previous episode, maybe, or maybe this was on the spoilery personal practice. But basically, the hill I'm willing to die on is a Pokemon is either destined to be or should be the best, or how do I phrase this? The most like creative horror story ever.
Yes.
Because if you bring out a Pokemon horror game, hasn't got to be around Ash, can be a completely new IP, whatever, right? But you bring out a Pokemon horror game, maybe from the origins of Pokemon, who knows, but just a horror Pokemon title. It could be the most, like we've had 25 years or 30 years of Pokemon. It could set the stage for the next 30 years of Pokemon. Yes. Because the people that have played Pokemon games up until this point are roughly our age, are adults, are in their mid-30s or whatever, right? Or even the ones that are younger than that. You bring out a horror Pokemon game, and that could be revolutionary.
I think, yeah, you know, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think with a heavy enough focus and enough marketing, the correct level of marketing, offline gaming could come back in a big way. I say this because I obviously, in my line of work, I'm probably the youngest guy that works in the shop. A lot of kids that come in for their haircut know that I like video games, but they talk to me about the same stuff. Do you play FIFA? Or do you play Fortnite? Dude, no, I do not. And it's that focus on these games, that the marketing for them has obviously been fantastic. You know, it's pushed pretty well. But like when I was a kid, yeah, we played football games, we played FPS, but there was so much more to video gaming, and I think if I think a lot of money will be diverted away from the kind of projects that you would enjoy playing, because the younger demographic are being drip fed a lot of these battle royale and sports based titles. I think if they just put enough effort in, I think the era of adventure games, RPGs, and platformers could come back, and we're living in the best time for it.
To that point, has the likes of Astrobot and Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon, I'm trying to think of other good titles, has that, I wouldn't say a resurgence, but have those games shown you enough to say that the industry would do that?
Yeah, I would say so. I would definitely say so. There's more and more kind of younger people, that usually late teens, early 20s, that start to mention this. We had a kid in the other day, I think he's like maybe 17, but it was really interesting. He came in and he was like, I've been playing this game. I've never played anything like it in my life. It's brilliant. It's so difficult. I'm stuck. but it's so good. I'm like, what have you been playing with? Resident Evil. This kid had just discovered Resident Evil, and I was like, oh, dude, you're in for a treat. Like, Silent Hill, Dino Crisis. Like, there's so many games that are in that vein. Sorry, cracking my knuckles, force of habit. But he just discovered this. You know what I mean? He was so excited about this whole new world of gaming that he'd never seen before. And each time he comes in, he tells me he's been doing something new. Like, oh man, I was playing this the other day, and he's just discovering that. It seems like the kind of late teen demographic are starting to discover these things. Ghost of Tsushima, Astrobot, and various others. They seem like the gateway, and then you can tell them about, well, you know, those older ones, and they go back to these older ones. I think they're definitely having an impact. They're absolutely having an impact, and I think it's shown that there can be a resurgence of this kind of gaming.
I think just to sort of put a button neck on it, that's not a phrase, put a button top on it. I think you're going to find a point where the curve meets, and you're going to have that portion you're on about, which is the offline sort of resurgence, and the money that's poured in at the moment to these big, like Fortnite-y, series games will be taken to just battle passes, season passes, and hopefully actually buying the titles on that side of the curve will be less important of buying the extra title to begin with. It'll just be passes and like subscription services. And that will mean more money can then go back this side of things and go back onto the offline story-based stuff. So hopefully when the curve meets and everyone gets so pissed off, we go, no, we're not having this anymore. It sort of balances out a bit more, and we can see that change.
We can reach a kind of gaming homeostasis.
Yeah.
Where everything's where you can have both,
You can, yeah. And here's hoping it happens, because there are so much stuff that people can go and find. Good. So we move on to create a spotlight. Your chance to plug anyone you want to plug, but also you can just do the type of person you like. I'm never forcing anyone to throw names out there. But the type of content you enjoy, what engages you, what inspires you. And then obviously, by all means, please do go on to yourself and all the great things you do.
No problem. We've got, I wrote out just a few, because I knew I was gonna miss people. I'm not gonna do too many, because I feel like if I shout out 100 people, that's gonna drown out some folks. So I would like to shout out a bunch of people who have helped a lot along the way, and if I miss anyone, I'll do a shout out video for them at a later time. There's been a few individuals that have helped me grow, and they're also creators, and I feel like they should be getting, especially in the retro space. There's like Katie, who's Splash of Spectrum. She does it. Most of her videos have been around advocacy for autism and like kind of family life and stuff like that. She's recently got into the streaming space, and she streams exclusively retro games, and she's brilliant. She's hilarious, effortlessly funny. She's also a staple in the greater retro community. She's always supporting other creators. She's in everyone's Discord. She's running her own Discord. She's running her own channel, but she makes time for everyone's live streams. Just 10 out of 10 individual. So shout out to Katie. Off-Rail Gamer, Mark from Off-Rail Gamer. He is another. He's gradually getting back towards streaming as well, but he's just been a constant from the second I came onto TikTok. He's just been there, chatting to everyone, being friendly with everyone. I went on holiday with the guy. We went to the Netherlands together, with a few other people. He's just that solid of a guy that we were like, here, we're gonna go to Holland. You want to come with us? And he was like, yeah, man, let's do it.
Which part of the Netherlands you go to?
We went to Delft. I've got a friend that lives in Delft, so we went over to visit him. And Mark, Off-Rail Gamer, he made friends with my friend in Delft, and they've been playing Monster Hunter together. Nice. So it was like, he just fit in immediately. It was brilliant. My friend Lou Audio, he's my best friend. He has started doing like gaming content and retro gaming content. He is been doing 3D printing stuff as well, where he's like 3D printing fridge magnets in the style of like old cartridges for like video games and stuff. So that it's a lot of interesting stuff going on there, and he's also just solid. He supports a lot of people.
I've got to check that out then. You say he's doing fridge magnets?
Yeah, dude, he's doing fridge magnets. He's in the Discord. Shoot him a message. He's been doing that. The guy he's always got like some project going. Always got some mad scientist idea. Super Nerd Simon is a given. Of course, I'm going to shout him out. This man is the salt of the earth, and he's helped so many other creators. Fantastic, engaging live streams. Just an all-round wholesome person, and brilliant content. Captain Buckles, or Tom, again, another one of these guys. His live streams are brilliant, really engaging, super fun, brilliant content. Alberto, very interesting videos. She does like Magic the Gathering stuff as well, which I'm not interested in Magic the Gathering. I'll still watch the video because she can make things interesting that I previously wouldn't have thought were interesting, you know. A quick shout out to Holly Retro, who needs no introduction. And I'd say my friend Haddy Games as well. He does a lot of horror streams. Much like myself, he absolutely does not handle horror games very well at all. And he puts himself through that just for us. And I love that. I absolutely love that in a creator, you know?
Because you mentioned Alberto, who she's crafted this amazingly chill and yet informative, yet somehow really funny, but just welcoming page.
Yeah.
And you said there lots, and you're right. I'm not a Magic the Gathering fan either, but I would watch every single video because she makes it so interesting. What is it about creators like that you don't necessarily like the content stuff, that you'd still watch for? What is it about them that does that for you?
I think just something about it feels like the way that she manages to do it, it kind of feels like, you know, when one of your friends would like excitedly show you something that they're into and it's not your thing, but you could probably see yourself getting into it because how excited they are. They make it appealing. Like she could sell rain to a Scotsman. It's one of those she could be like, look how wonderful that is, and we're like, yeah, you know what? Actually, I can kind of see that. You know, there's something about just her overall demeanor and her chill, the vibe that she puts out. I don't know what it is, but she has something that just makes like the Hot Wheels videos.
Yeah.
She's got me walking through Asda and looking at the little Hot Wheels before I check out and going, that's fucking cool, actually, isn't it? I've not looked at, like, I would have breezed past these, but I was like, look at that, man, a little truck. And I cannot get into any more hobbies right now. I don't have the space. There's no
none of us do. None of us do. I'll tell you one thing she does have, which is a little trade secret that this might be a bit of a spoiler for her page. One thing she does have, which not a lot of people do, is she does have a great like tea set, great mugs. She drinks tea a lot and drinks it on her videos. So that's just a little plug there for people that are looking for something interesting to have on their videos. Just a little plug. So do I.
Are you criticizing my sports?
No. I was
Are you throwing shade at my notes? Are you throwing shade at my Sports Direct mug, Marvin?
On my notes here, Creator Spotlight, amazing Sports Direct mug. It's literally written there. It's as big as my level up one. It is fabulous. Now, this is the point where I have to say you are categorically, and I felt the love myself, you are categorically one of the most supportive, welcoming, open streamers there is. And you just have built this wonderful like place for yourself in the space on TikTok. And so I want you to, as much as you can, renege on that, forget about all of us, and plug what makes you great and what you do.
I honestly don't. I don't know. One thing that I feel is important is that anybody who comes into my who comes into my streams, anybody who comes into the community, regardless of who they are, provided they're not a monster, should be able to feel safe and welcomed. I will not tolerate any bullying or bigotry or any nastiness. So we make sure that we deal with that the second that we see it. And I feel like as a streamer, I spend quite a lot of time. Sometimes people get annoyed at me because I'll spend time. Sometimes I've got to pause the game because I realize I've missed a bunch of chat. I want to read the chat. I want to engage with the people as well. Similar if I was sitting playing a game and my friend said something and I was at a hard bit, I'll get 2 seconds, buddy, and I pause it and I turn around. What were you saying? I feel like the engagement side with the people that are in the chat is every bit as important as the gaming side of it, you know. Outside of that, I'm not really sure. One thing that I've tried to do as well, because a lot of people helped me out, is there's been a few times that I've seen smaller creators or, you know, someone, they need just a few more follows just to get to that point. I'll either say into the Discord or I'll shout them out on stream. Last night we had one of our friends. I didn't realize she was aiming towards that. She only had 3 followers left to stream. I was like, guys, can you give her that? Like, that would be greatly appreciated. And they did, and now she's at that point. She can go live. I feel bad sometimes because I do it. I'll see a creator that's getting to that point, and I'll shout them out and try to interact and try to boost them up to a point where they can get that. And then they're at a point they can sustain themselves now. I'll move on to the next one. And then I feel like I've sort of abandoned them. But I try to always go back and be like, hey buddy, how you been? But I think
as someone that's been a part of that,
like
I remember when I was first getting nearer to 1,000, and you'd put, I can't actually remember what it was, but you'd put, which is bad of me, but you'd put on your stream a little tagline there.
Yeah.
And it's like that then, whether it was directly or indirectly helping me get to 1,000, I don't feel abandoned after that. Like, you've helped me get to a point,
that.
and I just feel like you're a helper and someone's been nice. I don't feel like you've done your job and buggered, like Batman, done your job and buggered off. Like, you've actually been a sustainable person that's really helped me. So I don't think everyone else feels that.
We had I was scrolling through TikTok and I seen a guy and he'd posted that he was going to be live on Twitch. He's like, I'm going to go live on Twitch for the first time tonight. I'll be playing Oblivion, one of my favorite games. Would be really cool if I wasn't just streaming by myself, like streaming to no one. And so immediately I followed the guy's TikTok, reposted the video, commented, because I was in work, I was on lunch. I said, I'll find your Twitch when I go home. And I did. I went home, went onto desktop. Sometimes I find that when you try to find people's Twitch on your phone, they don't turn up. You can type the name in and you get 0 results, especially people who don't have followers. So I went home, I found his Twitch. And what I did was I posted his Twitch into my Discord, and I was like, guys, this lad's doing his first stream. Want to go? Would love it. Would really appreciate it if you guys went and showed him some love. And now this guy's streaming regularly. He's got his own Discord, man. He's on TikTok. He's on Twitch and stuff. And that, there's a saying that altruism is selfish. That because if I do a good thing for other people, that makes me feel good. So I'm using that to make myself feel nice, give myself the warm and fuzzies. And yeah, I think I quite like the idea of thinking back every now and again. I'll see the guy streaming and I'll maybe pop into his stream and he's just absolutely brimming with confidence and it's just nice knowing that I gave the guy a little helping hand. You know,
I've been accused of, not a lot to be fair, but I've been accused of that because obviously I post my 5 creators you should follow or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got a comment once saying, you know, you're doing this because you want them to follow you. I was like, no, I, in the best way, couldn't care if they follow me.
Yeah.
I'm saying I follow these people. I like their content. You might as well like their content. So
Yeah.
go and check them out. If you don't. If you do, great. I'm just shining light on people that I think deserve an eyeball or two.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go and follow them, go and support them, go and pay on their subscription fees. I'm just saying literally go and look at them. If you like them, great. If you don't. And it's
Yeah.
like that old. I come back at them with the old friends joke. Is there actually a selfless good deed? Like, is there?
Yes.
Of course there is, but maybe there isn't. Who knows? But at the same time, just do what you do and don't worry about anybody else.
You're seeing something that you go, right, that's in my field. That's one of my interests. And I know a bunch of people who that is also their interest. Let's help this person out. Let's send some folk over. And you have uplifted so many people on this app. You've given so many people the confidence to continue to do what they do. And I think you deserve no end to the credit because you've been a just undisputable force for good on TikTok. And honestly, I tip my hat to you, dude. I tip my hat.
Well, I mean, it's cliche. I don't want to sound like I'm like, whatever, but it's because of people like yourself that we do that. Like, naturally, I'll try and always give love to those that I think deserve it. But there is examples out there that I've followed, and you are one of those. So I think you deserve to be on that pedestal way higher than me. Like, there's
not even no. There's, here's you. You're me, right? I get too busy. You do
I get too lazy.
You do way more than me. You help way more people than me. I try, but you make time and you do way more. You deserve a lot of credit, dude.
Fair play. I think before we start hugging through the screen, I think we should probably move on. So just let's finish this off then with you just shouting out the simple stuff, which is your handle, your Twitch, everything. Just show your main stuff.
My name is Bit Barber. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Twitch. I'm on Blue Sky, which is another app that I forget to check notifications for. The Discord I won't shout out because that's for the regulars. But I'm on all three of these. I made a YouTube account, but I haven't really uploaded much to it. I just haven't had the time. I think the Twitch VODs would probably be better suited because they're in the right format for TikTok. So if I get a few Twitch streams that aren't absolute disasters and then I can edit them down, then I'll put those up. But there's just everything seems to go. Every time I boot up Twitch, something goes horribly wrong, and I don't know why. But I'll start uploading onto there more often. But yeah, that's about it. I use the same handle across everything, the same spelling, same username, just to avoid any confusion. So yeah, if anyone's want to come and hang out, I'm going to be on all of those, but mostly on TikTok.
Nice. And as ever, obviously, you will actually be down in the description of the podcast. So please do go check out Bit Barber. It has been a delight this morning, my friend.
This has been brilliant, Marv.
Yeah, and it's again another one to check off the list of just creators I want to speak to, because again, this is something where it's just a pleasure to get to know someone deeper than just a video or even for a stream. So
yeah,
thank you for being on. We'll finish
it's been an absolute
honor. I'll let you have a great day.
Ta-ta for now, Marv.
Adios, guys.